on. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Okay, guys. Hey. Hey, guys. We're about to start, okay? Okay, so we have a great show for you guys tonight. Brought to you... Yeah. But this show is brought to you by a very special group here on campus. It's called the Young Conservatives of Texas here at Texas Tech. And one more. So with all those claps, you're going to be our next meeting, right? Every single one of you are going to be our next meeting, right? Okay. I just want to tell you all a little bit about the Young Conservatives before we get started here. The main goal of our organization here on campus is to trigger liberals. Now, how do we do that? We do a bunch of fun events. We bring Milo Yiannopoulos to campus. We bring Milo to campus. We do a bunch of other fun events and everything too. We do a Vegans Eat Free barbecue that we're going to do at the end of the year. We do a gun range social and everything. So this organization is a really great organization because we hate liberals with a passion. So I do have one announcement from Milo. After he leaves, he's going to come right back in 5 minutes for a meet and greet. So don't leave. Just go on ahead and hang around for a little bit. But without further ado, I am trying to steal my show. Anyway, without further ado, I'm proud to present the dangerous faggot himself, Milo Yiannopoulos.
Thank you for that. Hello. I'm wearing the same sunglasses I was in that video. It's very embarrassing. We're never supposed to wear the same outfit twice, you know. I think I've broken some kind of gay law. Right. Not very good at being a homosexual, as I think you know. Right. Good evening. Welcome back to the Dangerous Faggot Tour. It seemed natural to start the tour in Texas because you love freedom. Also because you're all armed. Do people have guns today? Who has? Let me look at you. Who has guns? Who has guns? You see, it's the sound people who arrived early and are sitting at the front who have the guns. My favourite audience members, in the first 3 rows, who've done very well. Well, it's good that it's hot in Texas. It means Hillary Clinton won't be visiting anytime soon. If she's falling apart with 75 and breezy weather forecast, I'm not sure she'd manage your climate outside. That does leave her a little overheated. We have to say overheated, of course, because anything else is a right-wing conspiracy. Huffington Post fired somebody for daring to ask a question about Hillary Clinton's health. They didn't just fire him, but they removed all of his articles from the internet. They took everything he'd ever written from the Huffington Post offline because he said, "Is Hillary well?" Well, it turns out the Washington Post thinks, maybe actually this is a really big electoral issue now, and I think it probably is. Speaking of which, does anybody get the sense that Hillary's relationship with Hoomer is something like Oprah's relationship with Gayle? The gays in the room will know what I mean. Right, I do try to stay away from the subject of Hillary because I don't want to be the subject of an unfortunate bus accident in the next few days. I mean, I understand people who reveal embarrassing information about her have a habit of ending up in several pieces on the freeway. Just horrible series of complete accidents. Anyway, so do you know what did she call? She called a couple of us a basket of deplorables. Do you remember that? I mean, I was so proud. I almost changed the name of my tour. I was going to call myself a deplorable faggot, but we'd already done the bus, unfortunately. Have you seen the bus? Isn't it lovely? No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Texas does have its detractors. They say you're a bunch of steers and queers. Which sounds fine. Sounds all right to me. I'm perfectly happy with that. And Texas and I are similar. We both need a long, hard, rigid border wall. Desperately in need of a border wall. And hopefully, I mean, I think he might win. I think he might win after this Hillary health stuff. I think he might. I mean, I know that some of you who's a Trump fan in here? Let me see. Okay, all right, fine. Good. All right. Well, I'm delighted to be speaking here, particularly delighted to be speaking in the Matador room. It is, of course, a hobby of mine, skewering old heifers. We're going to be... There we go. You get those for free. I was thinking, this is the first date of my Dangerous Faggot tour. I've tried to dress properly, no theatrics today. I want to give you a serious lecture. And I thought to myself, well, what shall I talk about? Shall I talk about TPP? No. What about a meandering treatise on Keynesian economics? No, of course not. You're not taught properly anymore. Perhaps something about pluralistic theory. I don't even know what that is. No, I've decided to talk about lesbians. Well... Now, I know the boys are going to get excited, and it is true that we do have some slides coming up about lesbians. Not the lesbians you want. I'm going to talk to you today about hate crime hoaxes and why it is that a particular minority group we are all encouraged to treat nicely seems to be remarkably adept and seems to have a habit of creating hate crime hoaxes. Now, I understand not everyone's pleased with my visit today, and I'll be even less pleased when they hear the subject of the talk. Did you know that 109 faculty members signed a letter? And I was going to come see you last year, and we didn't make it work in the end. But there was a letter. There was a letter. Thanks. Yeah, that one. 109 professors signed a letter, and I will quote from what they said. They said that they condemned me for slurs. Guilty. And for causing a downturn in the discourse, in other words, lowering the tone. Well, I should hope so. Guilty. Yes, good. Anyway, 109 of them, 109 of your professors were so concerned about what a gay man might say, a gay man with the wrong opinions, that they decided to sign a letter complaining about me showing up. The Duke Lacrosse students got only 88 professors, and they were accused of gang rape. Which gives you some idea of how seriously your professors treat free speech. And the sort of hierarchy of crimes, you know, wrong think here, gang rape here. Just so we're clear, thanks, Prof. All right. Predictably, the letter also caused my hosts, accused my hosts of causing feelings of abuse and harassment. Who here on the internet has suffered from abuse and harassment? Let's have a look. Nobody. Good. That's probably right. The left is determined to mischaracterize ridicule and criticism as abuse and harassment. Well, fortunately, you're very sensible people. You're not going to fall for it. Anyway, Matadors, lesbians. Now, you know, to excite a bull, all you need to do is wave a red flag. For lesbians, it's a red flag with a KFC logo on it. But enough with the cheap no, enough no. Stop it. Stop it. You're only encouraging me. I've got lots of these, and I'll skip over them. If only you could raise the tone a little bit, please. All right. Now, enough of the cheap jokes. We are told by the New York Times that LGBT people, which is a mouthful that means queers, me and the dykes, and some people who don't know what they are, suffer disproportionately from hate crimes. And hate crimes is a sort of imagined, confected sort of crime where it's more of a crime to hit me or say mean things about me than it is about your straight friend, which is patently absurd because everybody wants to hit me and say mean things about me. It should be more of a crime just because I'm a homo. Very ridiculous, but I submit to you that perhaps some of the reason why LGBT people are the victims of, or at least recorded as the victims of hate crimes, is that they fake so many of them. Now, my team has done extensive research on this. We were Googling for at least 45 minutes. No, I'm kidding. We did. We even have LexisNexis, for those of you who know what that is. And we have, no, it's real shit now, you know. You've seen the fucking bus. I've got to bring it this year or I'm going to get in trouble. We have discovered that there is one group in the LGBT spectrum that seems to have a propensity for imagining things that didn't happen, or indeed committing crimes against themselves, and they are our rug-munching friends, the lesbians. Look, for example, at this. It's okay, you can laugh. You know, the reason you can laugh is that although this would, under ordinary circumstances, have been an unacceptable and very hurtful thing to do, can you tell where I'm going with this? Wasn't real. So this was scrawled on the garage of a lesbian couple, Carol Ann and Laura Stutt of Venor, Tennessee. How could people be such hurtful, intolerant bigots in 2016, in current year? Well, the answer, of course, is that they're not, and the lesbians did it. And those are the lesbians who did it. Carol Ann and Laura. Wish them well. Right, except I don't wish them well, because actually they didn't just do that, they also burnt down their own house. They burnt down their own house, tried to claim $250,000 in insurance money, saying that it was a homophobic hate crime, having their house burnt down. Also found out was Marie Poindexter. We're going to go, this is Marie, lovely Marie. Oh, stop it. Stop it. You shouldn't be so mean about people. Leave that to me. You're going to steal all my punchlines. Right. Luca Marie, a lesbian professor at the University of Central Michigan, who punched herself in the face at a concert and accused a random man of anti-gay violence. How much do you have to hate yourself to punch yourself in the face? Oh, wish her well. Lesbians did it. Poindexter claimed that the man called her a cross-dressing fag. Well, look, you know what you'll notice about these queers and cross-dressing fags? I hang out with people who do use language like that about minority groups, and they don't talk like that anymore. If you want the sort of up-to-date, trendy words for, you know, women and other minorities, come speak to me afterwards. But genuinely hateful people do not use phrases like cross-dressing, fag, and a range of other anti-gay slurs before raining blows down on her face. It was a lie. She later admitted to police that she caused her own injuries. Most shockingly of all, in this first section of outrageous anecdotes, there'll be two sections, don't worry. Most shocking of all is the story of Charlie. This is Charlie. No, it is a woman. Charlie, behave. This is Charlie. Now, Charlie is a lesbian woman in Nebraska who claimed that 3 men in ski masks invaded her home, beat her, spray-painted her house with anti-gay slurs, carved slurs on her body, and then set fire to the house. And they say lesbians have no imagination. She could have been spending that time on personal grooming. Instead, dear Charlie, all right, shortly after the post, but it gets worse, by the way. Shortly after the reports, she made a post on Facebook stating that she hoped to be a catalyst to make things better for everyone, and she was later charged with this crime. This is what happens when you turn victimhood into currency. People commit fraud. This is what happens when a social justice vision of the universe, which is designed to create martyrs out of people who haven't really suffered, takes hold, takes root in academia, takes root in the media, takes root in all of the centers of power. It encourages the unscrupulous to fake hate crimes. Now, it turns out that almost all the hate crimes that you've ever heard of are fake. And I'll say something even more outrageous. Most of the rapes you've heard of are fake too, which is not to say that rape doesn't happen, to be very clear. But it is to say that if you've heard about a prominent rape case on campus, Duke Lacrosse, UVA, Columbia, chances are it didn't happen. And one of the reasons that, in my more serious moods, I get annoyed with people like Charlie is that they make it worse for people who really have suffered as victims of crime. Because what they do is not just in, hissy queens like me, but in normal people like you, they produce a sort of natural skepticism about claims in the future. So let's hear about some more. All right. Oh, yes, no, I have to go to the history lesson. I forgot the history lesson. You're going to have a history lesson now. There are obvious political and financial incentives to fake hate crimes. Since the dawn of history, presenting yourself as a victim has been a path to instant sympathy and support. Does anybody know who this is? I'll be very... I will literally blow you if you know who this is, because it will be so impressive to me if you know who this is. Anyone know? No. Socrates was hot. No, this is Pisistratus, and Pisistratus, of course, was what... Who was that? Who was that? Oh, yes, of course, Pisistratus. You never fucking heard of Pisistratus. Dear, is this what your lectures are like? Oh, yes. No, I knew that. Who was it? Dear, oh dear. I thought you were straight talkers in Texas. You're bullshitters, just like everywhere else. Bullshitters. Right. Pisistratus was one of the first dictators of ancient Athens. He rose to power after faking an assassination attempt at himself. He was the original lesbian. He rode into the marketplace with a bunch of fake wounds, got sympathy from the populace. Eventually, they gave him a citizen army. And he took over and ruled very happily. This is, in military and historical terms, very much like what, in cultural terms, a lot of the rape hoax fakers are trying to do to you. When those of us who believe in freedom and who love America, and I'm a visitor here, but I do love this country, it is the best country in the history of human civilization. When people come to this country who are not insane, they see the products of a value system that has been the best basis for a country that we've yet come up with in our species. Freedom, democracy, capitalism, property rights, First and Second Amendments. These are really, really good bases for building a country. And indeed, they have built the best country. Those places where those things do not obtain, you wouldn't want to be born if you were, do you know about Rawls, the veil of ignorance? If you didn't know where you were going to be born in the world, where would you choose? Well, you choose, maybe not Canada, but you choose probably Texas. You would choose Texas. But you choose America, you choose Australia, you choose Great Britain. And that's because we share values. And most people who look at the history of our countries, most people who look at the trajectory that we've been on, awarding rights to women, which everybody now agrees is a pretty good thing. No, I do. I meant everyone. When the left looks at this country, they see a sort of cis-het, white, patriarchal system of oppression. They see bigotry. They think you are all sexists and racists and homophobes and transphobes, whatever that means. And I don't see the world like that. It's very distressing to me because it makes them very miserable, and ultimately they want us to be as miserable as they are. Well, I decline. The bad stuff. Now, there are other reasons why lesbians might fake hate crimes. We're going to get to those. Actually, well, let's start by reviewing the people we've seen so far. Recall Carol Ann and Laura. Stop it. And Mari Poindexter. And once again, our favorite Charlie Rogers. Are you seeing a pattern? Does anyone see a pattern? Yes, they're a mess. And in fact, let's look at the data. There is some data support that support the idea that lesbians might be more unattractive than the rest of us. Bear with me. In 2013, it was revealed that the federal government spent $3.5 million on a study to discover why the majority of lesbians are obese. This is true, $3.5 million. That's your taxpayers' money went into finding out what we all know, that lesbians are fat. Even social justice warriors admit there's a problem. The Huffington Post, no, they do. Well, most of them because they can't reach the keyboard anymore. Even the evil Huffington Post that fired that poor guy for saying, Hillary might not be an Olympic athlete. They admit these plaintive entreaties for sympathy. They want us to feel sorry for these overweight rug munchers. So you see, it's not just me left curious by the fact that so many lesbians are hulking, dunking donuts, chomping ham planets. I was asked by my editor to make the opening talk in this tour much more serious and respectable. How do you think I'm doing? Right. Here's a quote from the study. It's now... Oh, I've turned this off. How do I get it back on again? Oh, no, we're okay. It's now well established that women of minority sexual orientation are disproportionately affected by the obesity epidemic, with nearly 3/4 of adult lesbians overweight or obese. That's government-funded research to tell us all what we knew already. And we see these role models in society too. That's what Megyn Kelly said it, not me. She said it. And of course, I don't know if Amy Schumer really is a lesbian, but I couldn't help myself. Turbo Dyke was too good to cut. Right, I have of course covered this the subject in detail. Another subject I've covered in detail on our journey to discover the root of the lesbian fake hate crime epidemic is the domestic violence epidemic. Now I've covered this in my trademark sympathetic and delicate light touch style previously on Breitbart. Let's be clear, lesbians beat the shit out of each other. They really have a problem. And nobody's allowed to talk about it since a study in the 70s that took part in a women's prison that discovered that when you have a lot of women in a confined space, they tend to line up, if you know what I mean. And every 28 days, the most appalling prison riots happen in women's prisons. No, so it's something that you won't see on Orange is the New Black. Every fifth episode, they all just spurg out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I can start to hear some hisses from the back from the women. Well, I'll tell you something. Men have been putting up with masculinity so fragile and kill all white men for about 30 years in media. So, frankly, ladies, you can take it tonight. If you've ever heard of a gruesome murder in your neighborhood in which a short-haired victim was beaten savagely with a rolled-up copy of Saga magazine and then strangled with a jockstrap, it's probably not some terrifying new sadistic white male killer, but rather another dyke domestic that got out of hand. Up to 45% of lesbians have been the victim of at least one act of violence perpetrated by a female partner, and 30% of lesbians reported sexual assault or rape by another woman. Those are conservative figures from a domestic violence support group. Only transsexuals have rates anywhere close to that. And straight men, the supposed oppressive monsters in society, have rates of just 7.4%. That's compared to lesbian domestic violence rates of over 30. Of course, it isn't profitable to claim you're a victim of minority, so they come after white males and they tell you that you're the rapists all the time, and so there you have it. You don't want to get between them, trust me. All right, lesbians, in short, and I'm going to get onto some serious stuff and stop being mean now. Lesbians are very often unhappy people. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that might be and what their hate crime epidemic says about America in a minute. They're very unhappy people who beat the shit out of each other and who very often develop eating disorders. And, all right, it's enough now. I get it. It's enough. That's enough. We're told women can do anything these days except apparently shut the fucking fridge. All right, my audience, in addition... You see, I can say these things because I have a newly acquired thin privilege. I lost 45 pounds in 4 months. You see? Okay, my audience, in addition to being clever, funny, and right about everything, is also disproportionately handsome. But imagine if you're one of these women. Why would you have a regard for basic ethics? Why wouldn't you set fire to your own house? For a bit of attention. After all, you're beating up your partners, so, you know, what's going on here? I realize I only showed you 3 examples, and I know you're all desperate to hear more. Let's get to the good stuff. Let's meet Dana Morales. This is Dana Morales, a New Jersey waitress. Anyone remember this story? You do. Do you remember what she did? Yeah. So she said that someone refused to tip her because she was gay. And I'm sorry to tell you that I've included a picture of Dana Morales. For you to draw your own conclusions as to why she might not have got a tip. It was a lie, but she received thousands of dollars in sympathetic donations, and when she was found out, she pledged to give the money to wounded warriors. How much do you think they received? Julie Baker. Julie Baker is... You know what, never mind. Next slide. Never mind. Amy... No, go back to Julie Baker. No, go back again, go back. QED, as we say in philosophy. Right, okay, Amy Whitchurch and Christelle Conklin, this is Amy, a lesbian couple from Colorado, claimed that the slogan, "Kill the Gay," was spray painted on their garage and a noose left on their doorstep. Now, if you see the sort of squeezed in E, and the fact the Y's run out of space, perhaps the reason for this is another thing you're not supposed to say about women, which is that they lack spatial awareness. It's amazing they had the front to paint it on a garage. But yeah, there we go. Kill the gay. If it was a real racist, they would at least been smart enough to put an S on the end, I think. It's homophobe, whatever. Who cares? Right. Alexandra Pennell. Alexandra Pennell. She's a good one. No, that's not Alexandra Pennell. The one before is Alexandra Pennell. Oh, that's Alexandra Pennell. Oh, fine, thanks. Alexandra Pennell is a lesbian student claimed that anti-gay notes were stuck on her door by homophobes. It was a lie. She wrote the notes herself. Kerry Dunn. This is Kerry Dunn. There we go. The name is on there. That was the clue. She's a guess what her job is? Second one I've had today. A professor. A lesbian professor at Claremont, I think. Yes, Claremont claimed that racist hate slogans have been scrawled on her car. This is Azalea Cooley. You can do it when I say, all right. This is Azalea Cooley, a black lesbian wheelchair-bound cancer sufferer. No, that's not funny. What is funny is she felt the need to go for even more victimhood credentials than what she already had by faking a hate crime. She lied, and she said that racists had lit a cross on fire in her porch. CCTV footage later showed her wheeling herself out and setting fire to it herself. So the next time somebody says to you, actually no, it's a wheelchair joke, I'm not going to go there. It's too early in the tour. Right, all right, Sarah Kasperite. There we go, there's Sarah. Sarah Kasperite, a student in Oklahoma, claimed that homophobes carved the word lesbian into her flesh. Imagine that. Imagine a crime like that. Well, she did it to herself. These are just some of the examples, by the way, that my researchers have come up with. Just a couple. We have scoured the known publication universe for examples of hate crimes. Discovered actually over 100 hate crimes just last year, representing almost all of the hate crimes that were reported on that year. Turned out to be fake. This is the product of a political left that believes that America is so bad, even though they can't actually find anyone genuinely doing anything bad, that they have to invent fake hate crimes to pin it on people like you. to suggest that white America, that conservative America, that particularly states like Texas, are hotbeds of racism and sexism and hatred and bigotry. Well, I don't believe that to be the case, and I don't think they do either. And one of the ways we know that is, as Douglas Murray says, there's a supply and demand problem with bigotry. And liberal reporters who want to try to claim that you are all monsters have to either outright invent things, have to go shopping. Sabrina Erdely at Rolling Stone went rape shopping, by her own admission, to find the most sensational rape story she could. Well, surprise fucking surprise. She found a woman called Jackie Coakley, who was a fantasist, who made up a story. And Rolling Stone knew that and published it anyway. My thoughts exactly. Or consider Memories Pizza, as family pizzeria. Liberal journalists called around endlessly, trying desperately to find one fast food outlet anywhere in America that said, nah, we won't serve gays. And all the poor family at Memories Pizza did was say, yeah, you know what, we'd probably rather not cater, if it's all right, maybe just go somewhere else. We're perfectly entitled to do that. And to the shame of the gay lobby, this is one of the many issues on which I part company strongly and ferociously with other homosexuals, many of whom are fucking awful. If I could have sex with them and never talk to them, I'd be very happy. They decided to make a spectacle of Memories Pizza in an appalling display that just goes to show how the left behaves when it gets into power. Because gay people are now doing to you what they claim you did to them. And in many cases, you simply didn't in the first place. And where there's any validity to their claims, it's historical. And now, given power, given access to the organs of the media and to politicians and to academic departments, they're becoming bullies and they're becoming liars. And this is not all gay people, but this is the gay lobby. And it seems to be that the gay lobby is becoming colonized by a sort of particularly angry, militant lesbian feminist. It's a sort of infiltration. I mean, if you look at the gay charities, which traditionally worried about things like HIV, stuff that actually mattered to gay people, now they're principally concerned with language policing transgender pronouns, and they're almost all run by lesbians. Gay men have given up. Why? Because we've got everything we wanted. People are really nice to us. We don't need anything anymore. The only people still complaining are women. Gay men are fine. And so are lesbians, but they are still whining. It's weird. There is a problem in the West, by the way, with homophobia. It isn't coming from conservative states like this. It's coming from somewhere a little different. It's coming from somewhere a little different. No, I didn't want that yet. That's completely out of order. Go next. Go another one. No, that's what I wanted. Did I miss something about... I missed a Hillary joke. How awful. Oh, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed it. What? Oh, I'll come to you afterwards. Here is an example of real homophobia in America. I went down there after this happened, and I gave a speech, and it was quite a strong one. Sorry? No? I gave a speech after Orlando, and I said that really this is the left on notice, that every gay charity deserves to be shut down if it doesn't respond properly to something that is happening in America. It is not conservative Americans who are endangering the lives of gay people. And the left loves to muddy the waters between language and action, saying that words can be violent. This idea of hate speech is ridiculous. But that's real. That's a real thing. That's 50 people dead and 50 people injured from an ideology that doesn't share our values. An ideology that the left politicians, the leftist media, and left-wing celebrities want to paper over. Not interested in telling the truth about it. Not interested in facing up to what it means. They want to lie to you about it. They want to pander to the people who subscribe to this ideology, to mollycoddle them, to protect them, insulate them from criticism. People like Omar Mateen. Omar Mateen killed 50 people. His dad was a supporter of Hezbollah and various other jihadist groups. In Orlando, a few miles north, I went to visit it. It's There's a mosque up there. I think it's called somewhere like Sanford or Stanford, just north of Orlando, where a preacher is a fairly regular speaker, and his it's horrible. He's quoted as saying that the compassionate thing to do to gays in America would be to kill them all. And this is the sort of ideological hinterland from which Omar Mateen was born. You don't hear much about that from gay charities. You don't hear much about that from Hillary Clinton. But that's the reality in America. And that's what is coming into Europe. That is entering Germany by millions, entering Sweden by hundreds of thousands. UK now has a Muslim mayor who is perfectly happy to show up to segregated rallies where the women have to cover their hair and stand at the back. Doesn't say anything about it. He's perfectly happy to appear in these events in public in the heart of London, the city that spread freedom, democracy, prosperity, all the great liberal values that you enjoy in America. Well, Britain didn't invent any of them, but we spread them the furthest around the world, which is why you wear our suits and you speak our very nicely tailored suits, and you speak our language. Sorry, no offense, but it's true. We might not have invented it, but we did sort of, we learned how to scale, these things. In the heart of London, there's a mayor who doesn't say a thing when he shows up to a rally and the women are forced to stand at the back. Polls in Britain show that 52%, and these aren't, crazy right-wing imaginings, these are polls conducted by left-leaning public broadcasters, 52% of Muslims in Britain want gay sex made illegal. 100% of British Muslims think that it's an unacceptable lifestyle choice. 39% of Muslims believe that a woman should always obey her husband. Now, some people have views on that, but it is certainly not compatible with the values that we've come to expect from the progressive left. And 20% of them, that's 1 in 5, want Sharia law, in which, under certain circumstances, a woman's testimony is worth half that of a man's. These are the things that the progressive left does not concern itself with. Instead, they're painting queers on their garages. They're painting fag on their houses. And they are doing carving words into their own arms, claiming that it is the fault of straight white male patriarchy and evil capitalist America. Well, there's a reason that Islam and feminism get on so well, because they're both authoritarian doctrines that hate the West. There's a sort of unholy alliance, in a way that in the Soviet Union, the KGB used to call the left useful idiots, kind of doing our work for us without realizing it. Well, feminists and progressive social justice warriors, Black Lives Matter, they are ISIS's useful idiots, doing the work here at home of unraveling what makes this country great and what makes this country strong. I'm here to you as a warning from Europe, imploring you not to let it happen. Because we need you. We need America. We need America to be strong, and we need America to be free. Because without that, it's the weakest in society who get hurt first, by people like Omar Mateen. All right. Solving the hate crime hoaxes, in part, means solving society's gullibility problem. There's a reason that we believe these hoaxes every time they come and say, oh, somebody sprayed this on the wall, or they punch themselves in the face, or they set fire to their own house. And it's because we've turned victimhood into a sort of currency. We've elevated grievance. We've elevated victims into a sort of honored status. Well, I'd like us to set that aside, and I would like for us to return to common sense. I'd like for us to return to a world in which claiming that you were the victim of a crime that never happened doesn't put you on TV, doesn't net you thousands of dollars, doesn't get you attention. We see this everywhere in society. Anita Sarkeesian is a feminist who critiques video games very poorly. We'll lighten the mood a little bit. On tour, you see my tour bus, so on tours you're supposed to name your bus. Well, I've decided to name my bus Anita on the basis that my bus is going to be more famous than that cunt ever will be. All right. wrap up before we get to the questions. There's some good news here for the lesbians among you. Maybe not. You're also beautiful. It can't possibly be the case. There's some good news for you. Female sexuality is a lot more malleable than males. We know right back from the Kinsey report that women are far more likely to experiment throughout their lives with relationships with men and women. We know that women are more likely to retreat, let's say, into feminine companionship after they've had a bad relationship with a man. Men tend not to do that, on the whole. Men tend to stick to whether boys or girls, whichever it is they prefer. Women are, not literally, although there's an ad called Match.com in England where there's sort of two people stuck together and have to walk everywhere together. It's good. Women do have malleable sexuality. The born this way thing that you're expected to believe, that gays are just born that way, and that's nothing you can do about it. What's a lie? It was invented in the 80s and 90s by the gay lobby. And it was invented because the religious right, who I don't particularly like any more than I like the feminists, to be honest, said that homosexuality was a sinful lifestyle choice. And that although they loved the sinner, they hated the sin. And this was something people should stop doing. Well, my advice to lesbians is very simple. I think as a gay man, it's possible to eke out a living and some fun. I'm sort of living proof of that. But as a gay woman, it doesn't seem to be, and you seem to be putting yourself in alarming amounts of danger for not very much reason at all. I, of course, also mean this in the sense, in gay's real sense. You can use gay to mean homosexual, but you can also mean gay. You can also use gay to mean crap, rubbish, Hillary supporting, immigrant loving, that kind of gay, that's gay. Everyone in this room, by the way, by virtue of attending, has acquired a lifetime fag pass. No, it's true. The lifetime retroactive fag pass. And if your professors are gay, you can maybe don't cash it in until you graduate. It may surprise some people who are angry with watching the live stream or angry with me at this point, love women, and I want them to be happy. Most lesbians aren't, and it seems as though that's an avoidable lifestyle in a way that perhaps male homosexuality isn't. There's no reason to suppose that male homosexuality and female homosexuality would have anything to do with one another. And the data shows that they probably don't. The LGBT thing is a sort of historical anachronism. We have it because at one time it was true that there were conservative forces in society who were acting against us. Well, it isn't true now, and it makes no sense at all. And truthfully, we don't like each other very much, and we don't have much in common. Female sexuality is very malleable, and I think the more you read on the subject, the more you will discover as I have. You go down a rabbit hole with this stuff. You get red-pilled on it, things that I can't really say on stage even, about why some women become lesbians. We have, over the last 30 years, relentlessly denigrated, demonized, and ridiculed traditional family structures and motherhood. Look at what happened when Phyllis Schlafly, the great anti-feminist, one of the bravest women who ever lived, a great conservative icon. She was wonderful. Great conservative icon died. And you had tweets from verified leftist celebrity and journalist accounts saying the most appalling things. Conservatives tend not to do that. We have more manners. But it might be time to stop being so polite. And so, if you're listening, lesbians, I implore you, if you want to get happy, suck a dick. It really works. I can promise you. All right, thank you. It's very hot up here, but I'm happy to take some questions. Does anybody have any questions on this subject or anything else? You've been a very lovely audience to listen to this for so long. I hope you enjoyed it. Does anybody have anything they would like to ask? So I kissed Gavin McInnes at Orlando. I don't really know why. It just came over us. Yes, and the beard was I don't normally like beards, but it was. No, it was. Takes a lot to get me to kiss a Canadian, but are the rumors of what? Who? How do I not know this? I don't know rumors about myself. Who is this person? Oh, I see. Is that because he's black? Oh. Because you think he's a homo? Oh, okay, fine. All right, okay. Oh, I don't use either. I'm famous. Anybody else? Yeah, over there. No, but it's only a matter of time. I think I might be illegal. I think I might be illegal in Europe. Oh, fine. I'll repeat the question, sorry, because people can't hear. Is it true I'm banned in England? Thanks, Sonny. Is it true I'm banned in England? Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't go back often enough to find out. No, I went back recently. So Nottingham. There's a police force in Nottingham, in England, and it's the centre of the country. It's the Midlands. It's sort of, like an old industrial town, some nice architecture, fairly normal place. The police now are saying you can get arrested for misogyny. Would you go back? I mean, no. This was probably illegal in England. In Scotland, you can be arrested for being offensive. And in Scotland, like in Canada, the police are tweeting warnings to people saying, be careful before you tweet. You may say something offensive. We're watching. Fuck that. Oh, please, America, take me in. If ever there were a strong case for taking in refugees, I implore you to consider my case. Right. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And if Hillary gets in, America will never be the same again. There's no reason to let's not. Although, did you see that video with something metal falling out of her leg? That would have been the time for the 6 slide, all right? Okay, we haven't got it now. What? What's that? What about it? I'm fine about it, really. Oh. Well, I've never had a Cheeto. So, ages ago, this is a long story. Glenn Beck keeps coming for me because basically Glenn Beck's one of those people who used to be really popular. And when people... No, I'm not being a bitch. It's true. It's true. He used to be really popular. He was sort of the cool conservative. But he isn't anymore. And we sort of exchange barbs in columns. He likes to sort of read out my stuff and scoff and virtue signal to his new liberal friends. He's the sort of safe conservative that Mark Zuckerberg can invite to Facebook, And anyway, so what was the latest? The latest round of it. Oh, yes. So I revealed the parlous state of the Blaze's finances. The Blaze, if you don't know, is Glenn Beck's a lavish TV production empire which appeals exclusively to evangelical Christians aged between 78 and 82. Amazingly, it's failing. It's failing because they have no interest in engaging with the most entertaining, fun, mischievous, trolly, bitchy, brilliant, clever, and attractive bit of the conservative movement, which is Generation Trump. Now, they have no interest in engaging in that, and so I mean, we haven't been friends for a while. I released some information that nobody else knew because I have better hair and sources than any of his reporters, and I revealed that the Blaze just took out what's called a dip loan, which is a sort of last-minute, last-ditch attempt to keep the company alive while you're either looking for an investor or hoping that another investment round is going to come. It's one of those things that happens just before a company folds. And I put it on Facebook with a picture of the Cheetos leopard or whatever he is. What is he? Oh, Cheeto, I guess he is. I don't know much about the natural world. I don't get out very much. Aside from Harambe, it's the only animal I know about. So I published that, and in response, Glenn Beck sort of leapt on. So I was on ABC News, and the host was saying, you're so mean. I said, yes, America could do with a bit of meanness. Stop being nice to people all the time. It's so boring. I think I'm doing God's work, over here. And Terry Moran's like, you can see it on YouTube. It's great. Anyway, so Glenn Beck's, you're turning into the bully you hate. So it accuses me Glenn Beck accuses me of overblown rhetoric. This is the guy who sort of turned himself into an evangelical preacher for Ted Cruz, fire and brimstone, everything's going to end. And then he's left quite literally with Cheetos on his face. Anyway, so published this thing, and then I retaliated by saying, here's the real reason Glenn Beck's mad with me. And, of course, repeated all the stuff that I knew about the Blazers' finances, and reply came there none. Next. Let's go this side. Yes, you, in the... What colour T-shirt is that? Sort of sand. Yeah. Sort of sand that's been pissed in. Go ahead. I missed her from my slides. Okay, Leslie Jones. Well, I have nothing but great things to say about Leslie Jones. No, really I do. Because I'm 5 times better known since that all happened, and have had no appreciable cost to anything, really. Nobody believes me that I don't miss Twitter. Nobody believes me. I know you all miss it because you don't get to hear from me. But no, it's freed up lots of time, and now I have this all time now I have to fill out forms and get tour buses and things. No, it's an annoyance. They'll offer it to me back, I think, because because I'm a European citizen. We can do something called a subject access data request, and they have no option but to give me all the information they hold on me, including the decisions. The decision-making that led up to certain actions, like taking my verified check away and banning me. They will not want to release that. So they'll give me my account back, I think. And I think my only tweet will be, go fuck yourself, Jack, and I'll never tweet again. You can read quite extensively at Breitbart Tech my feelings on Twitter and the feelings of my team. I think that that wave has crested. There's some interesting things I've spotted coming up, like Gab. You know about Gab? It's a new social network which sort of imitates a lot of the functionality of Twitter, but is committed to free speech. So for as long as they are committed to free speech, they sound like a pretty good thing. All right, I'll take... How many more questions by now? I'm going to keep going until they drag me off. Let's go up the back there. Yeah. In the hat. Sorry, what was the question? You think he'd be a threat? Daddy would walk into the White House. I have a feeling he's going to sail into the White House anyway. I mean, can you imagine what's going to happen in the debates? I mean, just think about it. You've got Trump, he's like a juggernaut. The guy's like a fucking freight train. It's just like, Hillary, your husband's a rapist, and you covered it up. And she's like... Another reason lesbians like Hillary Clinton so much, she keeps introducing new words into their vocabulary. Travelgate, Benghazi, what was it? Novotin-induced, whatever it is they say she's got this week. Pneumonia. You know the problem with saying she's got pneumonia? The problem is, by saying she wasn't sick for so long, the left can be really clever sometimes, other times they're really stupid. Saying that she wasn't sick for so long, and now finally admitting, okay, fine, but it's just pneumonia. And isn't she brave for campaigning, even though she's got a cold? They've now sort of set in motion this inevitable kind of death by 1,000 cuts. In a week, they'll have to admit it's not pneumonia. A week after that, they'll have to admit it's not what they thought it was first time. And the diagnosis will get progressively more awful, and people will start talking about it more and more and more, and everybody already kind of knew there was something not quite right about her, and the press was saying, no, it's fine, it's a vast right-wing conspiracy. Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And all the time, people are starting to wonder. They're starting to think. And they have to say, well, it's pneumonia. Okay, it's not pneumonia. All right, fine, it's not pneumonia. Well, there is a little sort of brain thing, but don't freak out. Lots of presidents have had things. Lots of presidents have had things wrong with them, back braces and Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or whatever it was. It's fine. It's honestly fine. And you've got Trump there there in like, amazing rude health, whose doctor says he's going to be the healthiest person ever to be president, who this morning said, yeah, I'll release my medical records, so what? You know, and she sort of... EpiPen, you know, pills. And did you see the thing about the water? Do you know about the water? Like, she can't drink regular water. She's got to drink thickened water. Thickened water is a special sort of water for people who have throat complaints or something. No, and this stuff is going to drag out and out and out. And then when she gets to the debates, if she so much as sneezes during the debate, I think she's lost. Very sad, very sad. Oh, well, yeah, well, isn't it interesting how a lot of the sort of anarchic elements of the political left, whether it's Snowden or Assange, or, well, there's loads of them, have started to sort of come up to Trump because they hate Hillary as much as we do. For WikiLeaks to tweet in my defense, and for Jack to be horrified and responding to them about my case, and for them to be, for Julian Assange, and I think this is unarguable at this point, for Julian Assange to effectively be an engine for Trump, dropping stuff at the worst possible, most embarrassing moments, you know, about Hillary Clinton's campaigns, all these leaks and things. He's effectively working for Trump, working to put Trump in the White House. It's a very extraordinary development. It tells you a lot about fracturing on the left between authoritarians and libertarians, between people who want to see, you know, more transparency and more freedom, and the people who, you know, who have more sinister agendas. Hillary Clinton, our friend, who smiles at homosexuals while being funded by the people who execute them. You know, that's what the left has to offer this year. Okay, I think I can do one or two more, and then I'm going to die of the heat up here. Let's go up to the back. Yeah. Yeah, up to the back. Yeah. Yeah, will the relationship between Black Lives Matter and cops get worse? Yeah, I mean, so the thing that nobody knows about the civil rights struggle is that I think this is Ben Shapiro pointed this out first. He's right about this. Is that Martin Luther King didn't win, Malcolm X did, and nobody really realizes this. You know, Black Lives Matter is a reincarnation of a black supremacist Malcolm X movement, and they've quite quickly got into their riotous chaos phase. There's no question that relations are going to get worse between Black Lives Matter and the police, and there's no question about who's in the right and who's in the wrong. There is plenty to be upset about in the police force. And they're not perfect, nobody is, but by and large they are good public servants, and by and large they are good men. There's some problems here and there. Well, what kind of organization of that size doesn't have some personnel problems? But to say that that the moral high ground is occupied even slightly by these petulant little you know, idiots throwing their toys out the pram, burning down their own communities, and celebrating the deaths of police officers, these people have no moral high ground whatsoever. They are petulant children who are doing nothing but destroying black communities and endangering our police, and they deserve to be locked up. Of course, you criticize Black Lives Matter, you get called a racist, as though agreeing with the Black Lives Matter strategy is exactly the same thing as caring about black people. Well, only somebody stupid enough to be a liberal could possibly make that mistake. I don't think that is the way forward. I don't think many sensible people do, and I think that it's going to be for the black community to reject them. As ever, the bad guys are white. It's Soros funding them, and it is the liberal journalists who mollycoddle and pacify and suck up to them and encourage them, who make excuses for their bad behavior by pushing a variety of conspiracy theories. They do the same thing to hateful feminists too. All of this nonsense about the patriarchy, it is a conspiracy theory designed to rob you of your agency. There's a reason they do this. The left wants to replace the father in the black family. Bill Clinton's crime bill ripped the black family apart by putting all the dads in prison. And who was there to step up to the plate to fill in the role of the father? The state. That's why they all vote Democrat, because they don't know any different. The same thing happens with women. If you tell a young woman who's, you know, maybe doesn't pass an exam or doesn't get into wherever she wants to go to college, that everything bad that ever happens in her life is the fault of the patriarchy. Everything bad that happens to you is some man somewhere, or some system of men. You're robbing that person of the ability to improve themselves because you are providing them with ready-made excuses for their own failure. For all of the petulant behavior of the women we've seen this evening, and all of the petulant behavior of Black Lives Matter, the people I really loathe, the people who disgust me, the people who sign letters to stop me coming to universities are the professors. They are the root cause of this problem. They are so irresponsible. They do not understand the consequences of what they do. They don't understand what happens to students when they leave these nice leafy communities and go out into the real world believing lies. And they knowingly lie to you. They lie to you and they lie about you. And it has got to stop. It is unacceptable. And I'm going to try over the course of this tour to draw attention to some of the professors who are doing that, because you deserve better. All right, I'll take 2 more questions. Right here. Is that you? Yeah, okay. You're so enthusiastic. How could I say no? Now you're standing.
I want to know about George Soros, and I want you to explain to these guys who he is and what it means.
So, George Soros, sometimes with 3 brackets around his name and sometimes not, is a billionaire. And he's a billionaire with, I'm going to try to stay as close to the facts as I can, because it's easy as a conservative to sound like a conspiracy theorist on this subject. Which is all, George Soros plows millions, and by some estimates billions, into left-leaning organizations that want to radically restructure the way that the West is architected. George Soros is a globalist. He believes that institutions operate best globally. He believes, European Union, UN, the Olympics. That's the sort of good model for humanity. Now, the majority of voters don't agree with that. And indeed, voters very rarely vote to give away power. They very rarely vote to, for instance, in Brexit, when given the opportunity, British people voted to leave. People very rarely vote for closer integration with international bodies. So you have to do it by stealth. You have to do it by bullying people, by saying they're racist if they don't agree with you. They're xenophobic if they don't agree with you. You have to do it by simply not asking them at all. Or you could do it the other way, which Europe does, which is keep asking them until they give you the answer they want. So the European referendums, around Ireland and I think the Netherlands, people said no. Ask them again. Said no again. Ask them a 3rd time. We got it. Finally 51%, right? We can do it. These institutions operate unaccountably, and by and large, they're completely fucking incompetent. They don't perform the functions that they were set up to perform. And George Soros is very often somehow involved in setting them up and funding them, because he believes that, in a sort of borderless civilization. He's an ideologue. Now, it's tough for us sometimes to imagine left-wing people as being sinister, because culture tells us that the nice people who have all of our best interests at heart, and perhaps they just care too much. That's the most they might be guilty of, is that they care too much. Well, the sinister billionaires you discover actually aren't on the right at all anymore, if ever they were. The sinister billionaires are on the left. They are Silicon Valley executives buying newspapers. They are Silicon Valley executives in bed with Black Lives Matter, and allegedly, literally. I don't think I can elaborate. But Twitter has Black Lives Matter on the wall, which gives you some indication of how much respect for law and order that company has. Soros or his network of foundations seems to sort of always be in the background somewhere when something like Black Lives Matter happens. I think did he give 650,000 to them? I think that came out, was that WikiLeaks came out last year? So basically funding engines of chaos that want to tear down the establishment institutions that have made the West wonderful. So, for instance, the institutions that provide law and order, that enforce the laws that have made the West a great place to live. So these institutions that provide, for that's the stuff we were talking about earlier. So it's prosperity, democracy, liberty, property rights, all that kind of stuff. Wherever you find a well-organized, well-funded resistance to all of the stuff that's made the West great, you tend to find one of George Soros's foundations. That's about it. All right, one more question. I suppose we should... Why is everybody pointing at you? You. Everyone was pointing at you. Yeah, you. Yeah, go on. Oh, well, so I saw Martin in New York just now. All right, I'll let you into the secret, and then we have to wrap up. So you have had a very this by my standards is quite a serious talk. Next week at Houston, I'm going to give a talk called How to Destroy the Alt-Right. Wait. And it is going to be a talk about all the things the left should do if it wants to neutralize this new generation of Trump supporters and, and fun, mischievous, deviant people. The basket of deplorables. If the left wants to neutralize the basket, and that might include things like stop playing identity politics, because if you want identity politics for women, I might want them for men. If you want them for black people, I might want them for whites. Now, my preference is we don't have identity politics for anyone. But if you want to play it, then... But if you want to play identity politics, then sure, we can do that, and we'll probably win. So I'll give you a little talk about that. Now, I'll give you a little hint, and even the organizers don't know quite what I have planned yet. At Louisiana State in Baton Rouge, I'm planning to interview Martin Shkreli, who was, of course, the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, knows a lot about pharmaceuticals and health, about Hillary's health. And preceding that, we will, pending final whatever, but we're going to have Rocky Gold and Baked Alaska perform the remix of the Dix Alpha Harambe rap, and then following that, Mike Deese, who is a Trump-supporting rapper, is going to perform his Trump song, recently released, the second verse of which will be sung by Martin. The bridge and third verse will be sung by me in drag as Marilyn Monroe draped in an American flag. So we're going to have some fun in Louisiana. Martin is one of the smartest people I know, and one of the most brilliant trolls I know. I don't take too much credit for this because he's a very smart person, but when he appeared on my podcast back in the early episodes, I think most people in this room would have considered him to be a monster. And when I posted a picture with him, I said the wall just got 5,000% higher. Because he put the price of Daraprim, which is a drug that's sometimes used in HIV treatment, up 5,000%. But his argument, which I think is reasonable, is if you bought a dairy farm and everybody else was selling milk for £1 a quart, or whatever it is, whatever silly measurements you people have, $1 a quart, and yours was priced at 15 cents, well, you might put yours up to 80 cents, just because, why wouldn't you? Because everybody else is... That's his rationale, and he had done adjustments in either direction, of course, many times before, but the progressive left, always desperate for something to be upset about, realized that one of the things that Daraprim does is sometimes vaguely connected to gay people, so of course he's the devil. I think after being on my show, people realized that actually he was just as much of a shitlord as the devil, and he's acquired a nice following of people who enjoy his sense of humor. He was there, wasn't he, when Hillary collapsed, the 9/11 thing? Yeah, he did it for us. All right, I'll do one more, I promise. Okay, I mean, why not edit the one? You look like Gavin. No, I did one over there. I can't. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. There's a lot of good facial hair in this room, by the way. Yeah. Go on. Right. So I've been struggling to work out what happened here because I emailed him saying let's debate and I'll get Dave Rubin to do it. And then he emailed back and said yes, fine. And then I think I didn't reply for like 2 weeks. Sorry, I'm busy. And then I suddenly heard from someone else that he'd gone on the air and said, oh, Milo's a coward, he's backed out of the debate. I never backed out of the debate, I just didn't reply to him because he's not a priority. He's not somebody who's particularly high up my list of people to respond to email to, and I did leave it 2 weeks, for which I'm sorry. That's all I'm guilty of. So now now Ben, whose career has sadly evaporated. Ben is. Well, I think I wouldn't mind. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too mean, but. He's very short. No, Ben's career is basically evaporated, I think, because people have picked up that he effectively communicates whatever message his funders want him to. And people have been around long enough to see that happen in various different incarnations now. They've realized that the reason Ben has 7 different failed companies is that they're not really failed companies at all. They're just sort of vanity blogs funded by whoever will write him some checks. It's a shame what's happened to him in a way, because I would quite like him as an ally. And he'll watch this because he watches everything I do. No, I'm not kidding. It was like 2 days ago he did a video about me on ABC. You know, Ben Shapiro's career basically now is commentating on my TV appearances. I sort of wish he'd get back in touch, because I think we'd have an interesting debate, but I can assure you that the intransigence is not coming from me, if it ever was. I've got better things to do than reply to every allegation of his on Twitter, though. Oh, why not? They haven't casted me off yet. Yeah, fine, all right, okay. Yeah. This is the last question. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, go down, if you want to... If you want to say hello, give me 5 minutes. I'm going to hop out and I'll come back again, I promise. If you queue up here, just down this side, and form an orderly line, I will come down the disabled ramp in a moment and come and say hello. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for that lovely, lovely southern welcome. Thank you very much. Situation now where students can go to university, they come out dumber than when they went in. They are infantilized by safe space and trigger warning culture. The idea that interrogating a new idea is somehow problematic, that it gives rise to trauma. This evening, there is a safe space at Michigan University to protect the safety and emotional well-being of students from this dangerous faggot and a lesbian with the wrong opinions. That is insane. Hello, darling.
Sir, please,
Do you need some
sir,
help?
sir,
Do you need
please.
some help?
Get the fuck out of here!
What about an apology? But Twitter,
Absolutely not.
And I will get out on every college campus.
I am going to make their lives hell.